This is the chairman's report for this last year. I took on the chair again after our last annual meeting, and it's been a very remarkable time. My predecessor Ian Shipley had seen the completion of our new play equipment and also the revamp of the old bus shelter, giving dual use for a not very pretty asset. This was a large commitment on his part, and it should be recorded together with some very willing others. The amount of time taken to obtain all the grants and assistance available has given this council financial buffer in times of continued austerity. Ian felt unable to continue as chairman since he had growing commitments elsewhere, but despite giving up the chairman's seat 2 years previously, I agreed to take it on again to see us through the final year of this council. I also had and continue to have many commitments elsewhere, but my then colleagues on the council felt unable to take on the role as chairman. Unfortunately, my other commitments have increased rather than diminished as I continue to run a business that I tried to retire from 3 years ago, during which time my fellow director has suffered a series of major health issues. Thus, I am withdrawing from parish council work following the recent election after approximately 30 years of the now 40 years I have lived in the village. Starting in September, our meetings have been beset with problems, mainly thanks to the ill-advised legislation passed by Westminster in August that, contrary to the standing orders which have been our operator's manual for as long as I've been a councillor, it is apparently in the interest of democracy to allow recordings of our meetings, both sound and visual. This can be intimidating for councillors, volunteers who seek only to put their time and effort into maintaining and improving their community for everybody's benefit. As by law we have to operate under these SOs, it was necessary to clarify that we changed them at the first opportunity before we could proceed. But we had some parishioners who refused to allow this, and we regrettably had to postpone one meeting. This new condition also upset our arrangement with the school, which had by now been revamped as a sixth form campus, and our previous accommodation had been lost, and the right to film took precedence over the expediency of our meeting arrangements. As a result of this filming issue, we lost 3 excellent councillors. Jack Maiden, who has served us and most other village organisations since he retired to Beyton 25 years ago, Ed Bacon, who had used his accountancy expertise to assist our clerk, and Colin Kennedy has been so active in village affairs since his retirement. I would also have resigned, but for the fact that the council would then not be quoried, if I had, and would have been taken on by Mid-Southwark, who would have called in and run an election at huge cost to the council, and thus the parishioners of Beyton. This filming has continued to cause problems throughout the year, as a very few determined individuals attempt to disrupt, intimidate and abuse the privilege of a meeting in public, without ever seeking to assist or contribute to the working of this council. The aforementioned resignations were an opportunity for them to join the council, but nobody applied when the positions were advertised, and we then had to co-opt when applicable. My thanks to Graham Jones, Mark Bloomfield, Adelpo and Sue Harris, who have stepped into these vacancies. It is very disappointing to note that there continue to be huge efforts made by a few residents to upset the work of this council for their own ends, which mainly stems from their refusal to accept that the reinvigoration of our goose flock was a democratic decision properly and fairly arrived at by this council. I'm sure it will surprise most of you to know that there have been, at the last count, 7 complaints made to Mid-South Council as to my behaviour as a councillor and chairman, all from members of this small clique. I can report that none of these complaints has been upheld, probably due to the fact that they were based on lies, false accusations and or irrelevant details. As to my conduct of our meetings, we've had to repeat endlessly that the geese and their reintroduction costs were paid for by voluntary contributions. That fund is in credit, but has recently been added to by the sale of this year's eggs, and we have used those same geese, albeit pictured as ducks, to assist our speed awareness and reduction efforts. Imagine our dismay Imagine our dismay to be hampered in those aims by these same residents campaigning for Suffolk County Council to instruct us to remove these signs when similar examples are displayed throughout the length and breadth of this county. Other complaints from various have made during the year, none of which has been upheld, and I cite one example as a good reason why not. During a public forum at a meeting in late 2014, Mrs. Maynard alleged that the stream had been dry for 2 months during the summer, such that the geese were without fresh water. As chairman, I decided that courtesy demanded I allowed her to speak in the public forum uninterrupted. And immediately she finished, Ellen Kirkby, vice chairman, contradicted her as it was blatantly untrue. Mrs. Maynard then complained to Ms. Overcast that Ellen had lied, and I, as chairman, was complicit in this lie, as I had not contradicted her. This so-called drought occurred during the 4th wettest year since records began, a remarkable achievement in itself. The complaint has not been upheld. By the way, geese do not need or even prefer fresh or running water, and our unhealthy pond, never dry since 1984, now hosts not only our geese, but several adult ducks and a quite delightful fully fledged brood produced there this year, and the occasional whale.
Public forum. Anyone like to make any comments? Questions?
Please, Chairman. First of all, let me just say thank you for people that stepped forward to continue the parish council as you have, and obviously take note of kind of level of experience that now is on that parish council. So a couple of things really, Mr. Chairman. Firstly, could I request that obviously these ongoing complaints, ongoing freedom of information requests, and all the negative things that take up the time of the parish council. Could I ask that the parish council notes how many man hours or council hours are being taken up by such things? Because I think that it would be valuable for the village to know how much time has been wasted rather than more positive aspects of the village. So could I please ask that that's done and reported on periodically? The second thing, because this is obviously going off item number 3. Secondly, I would like to congratulate Ellen because considering for those of us on the sidelines these days, the almost victimisation that Helen has experienced from the minority of the minority, as I call them, she still put herself forward for further public life potentially for the elections just gone by. So Ellen, I would like to congratulate you considering your experience that you have had at a local level to still put yourself forward to serve the public. I think needs commending.
Hear, hear.
So thank you. Okay, which became a very credible first, so thank you very much. So really, in summary, thank you all for stepping forward and for the very kind words I think were quite rightly made about Roger's contributions. I know how he supported me over the years I was on the parish council, and he has been the rock of this parish council, and sad to see him go. Thank you.
Yeah, firstly, I would love to reiterate your sentiments about the freedom of information request. They actually take hours and hours and hours of people's time when they should be doing something more constructive. And in the end, nothing happens about these requests, whether it's because of the powers that be or whatever, but they just disappear into the ether, it seems to me. It's completely not a waste of time. The other point I would like to make in support of all these lovely people is that you look at this very healthy balance that we've got. If, in fact, the council had to be abandoned because all these people weren't prepared to stand up and face the the horrible music that was going on, and it really was so stressful for everybody, we wouldn't have half that money now. It would have been gone out, gone to sell, gone to whomever, and we wouldn't have anything like that amount. And I think you all deserve a big amount of praise for standing in when it was so difficult, because you didn't have to, and nobody else stood in to support you. So well done, you lot. That's what I'm saying. That's all.
I'm afraid it sounds like a needle stuck in a record, but it's again to do with the Freedom of Information Act. I was rather hoping Ian was in his request for the man hours and the time it takes. Is there a cost? Could the council let us know the cost of these investigations? And furthermore, it's just do we really need to respond to them? Because whenever one hears about freedom of information issues where the press has written around to hospitals to find out complication rates or whatever it is, or things going wrong in education or any public service, there's never 100% response from them, and they do fairly well to get 50% of the organisation they write to respond back. Do we have to respond? I don't ask you an answer now, but really what...
We're recommending price out to do the necessary. But I was speaking to my brother at the weekend, who's a retired colonel in the army, and they used to get freedom of information requests regularly, and basically a lot of them ran into the dust, maybe because of the nature of the business.
It is illegal.
It is illegal.
We don't.
But is there a sanction against the organisation? Because
there is a very strict guideline. If it would, it's all set out based on an hourly wage of, I think it's £25. If the cost of responding to that freedom of information request would go over about £450 based on an hourly rate of 25, then we can say, no, it would cost us too much to respond. So it is all very clearly set out in law what we can say no to and what we can't.
Thank you.
Are you sure we can't just charge as they're at now? I thought that's what
We can say no because it's going to cost us too much and offer the charge. We're not obliged to do it if it's going to cost us significant amounts of money.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sandy?
Right. I think I probably deserve a moment of recourse with all this going on. I think that if I can speak without being interrupted, that would be very nice.
To what agenda item does it refer?
No, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you. The filming, I think, in not only at this parish council, but all councils and government, is a good thing. And I think that with it comes openness, honesty, accountability of all government groups. And I can't see why anybody would object to that. I think that everybody wants to know what the government on all issues is doing, including the Freedom of Information Acts wouldn't be used as much as they are if the openness and accountability is there. So hopefully, that won't be. Sorry, I really wish I could speak without.
Edited YouTube is not in the
No,
spirit of the law.
it is not. It is not a fair account of a parish council meeting.
Please, one at a time.
And this is another time of where I'm being shouted at. So another example. There are, just for the record, there are 7 complaints from different people about this parish, or the previous parish council, that are being investigated. 1 has not been upheld. The others have not been decided yet. So 1 complaint has not been upheld. Finally, something, I'm sitting next to Di, and her husband, John, spent at least 2 months digging the silt out of the stream near their house. And it was dry. He wasn't in waves. I mean, Roger, I'm sorry, but you're referring to somebody's husband as being an out-and-out liar. I do have pictures. I do have people that walk their dogs past the line. And, it's just little things like that. And I think that if everybody shows a little more respect for everybody else.
No, please let Sandy finish.
Thank you, Graham. I think that, respect and a little bit of less trying to get at people all the time would be a very nice start, a nice time to start this. And good luck to the new council. I welcome you all. I think it's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to?
Am I allowed to say anything again?
Yes.
This is absolutely ridiculous. If you look at the stuff on YouTube, there's all this writing before it starts, which gives completely the wrong impression, as far as I was aware, because I've been to most of the meetings, that the meeting was about. The actual YouTube footage is edited. They don't show it all. Why isn't it all shown? I think the parish council are going to have to beat them to it and put theirs on before, but then people won't bother to look at the parish council one because it'll be so boring and not like this trumped up load of rubbish that's been put on YouTube. So it doesn't give a fair account of what happens.
But you're giving a fair account of how you've acted towards me and towards others, which is not.
And you haven't.
Okay, thank you very much.